our streaming.
I don't know, ask Susie.
Susie? Is our streaming ready to go? And is Betty going to join us? I thought she was.
She was not, she's not. I thought she has the,
Yeah, as far as.
Okay.
I thought she had the meeting at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, she said she had a conflict.
Yeah.
Yesterday to confirm.
It's the
All right. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to continue on with our budget meetings, and our next group is TARC. If you'd like to give us a presentation.
I'm Eileen Dorn, and I'm the Executive Director of TARC, as well as serving as the Executive Director for the Shawnee County CDDO. So we provide the oversight of all of the affiliates in Shawnee County. But this request is to fund programs. It's been exclusively for programs who are nonprofits in Shawnee County that provide services to children and adults with developmental disabilities. So we are presenting a request for the same funding as we requested last year for sheltered living, CAPR, and TARC. There was an adjustment made midstream where sheltered living had requested funding for case management, and then they decided that they were going to discontinue case management services and agreed that if TARC would hire an additional case manager and take on some of those clients. And so there was a transfer made of $26,079 for this past fiscal year. And then we also sent a letter, and I wanted to thank you all for acknowledging and approving our request so that we could receive the most benefit from our PPP funds to make some adjustments in terms of which programs were going to be funded with the county dollars. I am happy to answer any specific questions you might have, or I can continue to present what our programs do. I know a couple of you are pretty familiar, but I don't know if Commissioner Mays is as familiar with TARC and what we provide.
I have a pretty good idea, but just based off of public knowledge. So, I mean, I don't know specifically if there's anything beyond that.
I mean, why don't you, I think that Commissioner Mays would probably find a lot of interest out of the shredding program.
I know about
Are you
that.
like
You know about that one?
I do. I've been
can-
lobbying the people in my office.
I
to
think
try
one
and
of the
find-
things that TARC, that most people know about TARC is about our Children's Services Program, because that is one program in which, you know, we are the only agency in the county. We are the Tiny K program for Shawnee County. And so last year, we almost reached 900 children and their families in that program, which is the highest number we've ever reached. This year, we might be a little below that just because of COVID. We had a 2-month period where pediatricians' offices were closed, and that's where we get most of our referrals. So when those well visits weren't happening, the referrals were down, but they're quickly catching up now that those kiddos are back in. So we expect to serve approximately the same number, and our percentage of children that no longer require special education when they get to preschool has gone from 24% not needing that additional support to 27% of all of the children who complete our program. So we are really proud of that program, as well as our adult services. So at TARC, we serve many adults through our case management program, where we provide support to about 270 adults in the county, coordinating all of their services, whether they're receiving them from TARC or CAPR or Sheltered Living or Loving Hearts or any number of providers. But through our own day services program, we serve folks at TARC, as well as providing employment services and supports through TARC Industries. And that's what Commissioner Cook was alluding to. So one of our big businesses there is document destruction. We are a NAID certified document destruction business, and so we have contracts with a lot of the very large businesses here in Shawnee County, and it keeps our folks working. So we also have a production and printing business, but a good bit of our work in the community comes through our document destruction business as well.
Did the coronavirus, did it make you shut down at any point in time?
It did. On our own volition, so our tiny case services have been delivered through telemedicine and Zoom meetings with most of our families. We've just resumed some home visits recently, but the other services were all being delivered through Zoom, which was challenging in the beginning, but once our families got the hang of it, that those continued without missing a beat, really. We closed our day services program for 2 weeks when we had a possible positive COVID attendee. And then we shut down TARC Industries for a week, I think mostly just to regroup, because there was suddenly a big outburst, in the community. So we took the steps that we felt we needed to do to sort of pull back, but we never, we continued pretty much without missing a beat. Now, the number of attendees dropped considerably because residential providers were permitted to provide day services supports in their residence. So we were primarily, in the beginning, just continuing to serve folks who live in the community with their parents or family members, and then those folks who live more independently in the community. And it was really important for them to continue coming to TARC, particularly to TARC Industries, because they had community jobs. And we really wanted, after working so hard to find community employment for people, didn't want them to risk losing those jobs, knowing how hard it would be to come back from that. So we have continued really without shutting down completely. Now, some of our administrative staff have been working remotely. We did go through a period where we had very few staff on site. It was a little bit lonely at times, I will admit. But we're getting a little, back to normal now.
What about your volunteer services? Because there's a lot of people that volunteer their time and energy out at TARC.
Yes, there are a lot. Well, in addition to our events, so Winter Wonderland, as you know, which we are partnering with
Right.
Shawnee County and our golf tournament, we have a lot of volunteers who work at that. But we also have a number of people who volunteer both with Children's Services we have a respite program for parents who have children with developmental disabilities up to the age of 15. They can bring them on a Friday evening, and we have volunteers who work in that program, but we also have volunteers who come to our day services program and provide support to folks in different activities. And then our folks at TARC Day Services provide a tremendous number of volunteer hours in the community. So they actually deliver Meals on Wheels. Now, some of those services those volunteer activities were suspended as a result of COVID, but we have daily Meals on Wheels delivery that our folks they aren't driving the vans, but they are delivering the meals as well as volunteering at the zoo and volunteering at a number of other places.
Okay. How many full-time staff do you have?
TARC employees are, it's a little bit of a tricky question. We have 97 currently, but then we have an additional approximately 35 staff who technically are employed by Greenbush Education Center, but they work under the supervision of the TARC Children's Services Director in order to secure some of the funding that we're able to pull in for children's services. We have to have an affiliation with an educational center. So that's the reason for that. So, but on-site, we have approximately, 130 employees now.
Greenbush, is that funded by Westar? Or?
No, Greenbush is an educational center, so
Okay.
it's
a
state education
distance
funds.
learning- Is it distance
It's-
learning platform?
Right, so they offer services, I think in the juvenile, maybe in the juvenile facility here in
I'm
Shawnee
not
County,
familiar
is
with
that
them.
Greenbush?
They're
Yeah,
based out of Greenbush, Kansas.
yeah.
Greenbush, Kansas? Are they a not-for-profit or
I don't know.
Laura?
And Bill, I think you were thinking of Green Point. Green
You're thinking of
Point is the
Greenpoint.
recycling part of,
okay.
It's
No.
Their address is Gerard,
Yeah.
and we've tried to determine if academically they are, and that's what we don't, I don't, like, cooperative.
Greenbush is a little unincorporated town outside Gerard.
Oh, okay. Is that what
My
you're-
mom lived down there, grew up
Is that
down there,
right?
so.
Okay, so that's how it got its name?
Okay.
Yeah, I've never, I didn't understand it was a concept that did not exist in the state of Indiana, these educational cooperatives, but,
But they access the categorical aid.
right, right.
Okay. Any other questions?
I don't have any.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't have any
Um,
either.
So was the Christmas lights this year, how did it go this year?
It was down a little bit from last year, but overall, almost consistent. I mean, I think we were down by a few $1,000s, which, we had a shorter period of time this year because
I was
of
thinking
how
that,
late
yeah.
Thanksgiving was, so that really, we felt like it was, in light of that, it was consistent with what it had been in prior years. It'll be interesting this year. We are going to have to, if there's ever an end to a first wave, to get to a second wave, right? We'll have to see. It shouldn't impact people attending and coming through. It's the one thing you can do, right? With you can pile your kids in the car and you can drive through the Christmas lights. But we're going to have to make some adjustments, probably in the handling of money. But we're working through that right now. But we're anticipating actually that this should be a really good year for Winter Wonderland, especially in light of the fact that so many folks have not, I mean, we've had to postpone other fundraising events that we've had. We are still planning to do our golf tournament at the lake at the county golf course, and we are still planning an event for downtown, Taste from the Top, so we're hoping that that can happen, but we really don't know yet. But I think because of that, I think folks are aware of the fact that fundraisers in general are down this year, and fundraising is down, and that, and revenue's down
Right.
for most of us as well.
Yeah, a lot of special events are non-existing this year.
Virtual events, and I know people are doing that. It's hard to know how
What
how
about,
much people are willing to do.
What about grant opportunities? There are a number of grants that you guys
We
apply for.
apply for every grant opportunity that we come across. We did receive a $25,000 grant just recently from the Sunderland Foundation to do some of our capital improvement work around the facility in terms of the exterior needing to replace sidewalks. And I don't know if you're familiar with Sunderland, but they made their money in cement. So we figured asking for a grant from them to work on the sidewalks and keep up with those repairs. And that is one of the things I think that, one of the ways that we're going to be impacted is there are a number of capital improvements that will just need to be postponed. It's not going to happen this year.
Anything else? Commissioner Mays? Commissioner Cook?
Not that I can think of.
Other than just thanking you for everything you guys do. And
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, great
You
service.
did tremendous service to our community, so.
Well, there's almost, we've said, you know, particularly given the number of years that we've been doing this, and we're the oldest provider of services to folks in Shawnee County, that there's so few families whose lives we have not touched. So inevitably, when I'm out in the community, somebody will say, oh, you're from TARC. My younger brother got TARC when he was little, or my older brother got services from TARC.
Well, even other than just receiving services, I mean, you've touched my family in some ways because we always go to the Christmas lights a couple times a year. We played on your playground when my kids were little, I mean, that kind of thing as well.
Right.
So that's not just the people that receive services per se,
Right.
but yeah, I think it's great what you guys do.
Thank you.
Just make sure you go back and tell Mr. Morris it would have been a better presentation if he would
If
have
he'd
been.
have come, I know, right?
Last year, he wasn't here.
It would have been a
because he was
longer
off-
presentation.
Exactly.
You know, he was
And
off
then
in
you'd have had
Colorado
to
last
listen.
year.
Yes, he was, yeah.
No. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right,
All right.
2:00.
Hey,